Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys a real quick video. It would turn out that the New York Knicks have once again acquired Derrick Rose in an exchange for Dennis Smith Jr. and I guess a couple draft assets or a draft pick or whatever. Um, I thought Houston would at least be a team to pull the trigger on Derrick Rose. Clearly, they're not. But I understand this move, but I don't, if that makes any sense. I I guess I can understand why they want him, right? Because they have Tom Thibodeau as their coach. Thibs was the coach under that Derrick Rose had back in, the I guess early or like late 2000s, 2008 through 2010. Derrick Rose was easily the best that he'd ever been. That was like peak Derrick Rose was back then. And now that Thibodeau is the coach of the Knicks, they're playing really good defense. They're actually looking like a team now, which is shocking because it seems like whenever something goes wrong for the Knicks, they just get rid of the head coach and bring in another guy. And apparently, Tom Thibodeau has clearly turned this team around. Compared to where they were last year, they're actually competitive this year, which is saying something, right? Like that says something about the head coach and, just the team. They're clearly buying into whatever Tom Thibodeau is putting down. You know what I'm saying? They're buying into the system. And that's always good when you have players that are buying in and believe in the system because it's clearly working for them. Regardless of what you think of the Knicks, Julius Randle is playing out of his mind this year. They have RJ Barrett, who is clearly taking a step forward. They got Derrick Rose for essentially nothing. I mean, they weren't... Dennis Smith Jr. wasn't seeing any play, and... yes, they had a draft asset. I'm kind of hoping that draft asset wasn't the Mavericks pick for this year because the Mavericks are playing bad this year, man. I mean, they're playing bad. So is Miami. Miami's not playing that great either. But it's a nice pickup for the Knicks, but I don't know how crazy it is because Derrick Rose, if we look at his stats this year, is only averaging 14 a game. He's shooting 42% from the field, 33% from three. It's not great. I'm not going to... the three-point shooting percentage, it's just... Derrick Rose is not shooting well from the field this year. He's shooting decent from the free throw line, 84%, but he's averaging 14 points a game. Is not committing a lot of turnovers, which is good. He's getting about 1 steal a game, about 4 assists, maybe 2 rebounds. So he's still a productive point guard. I mean, was he worth a first-round pick? I don't know. I'm not sure. There's still, clarification to be made on this draft pick. I haven't seen anything on it yet, but I'm really hoping they didn't give a first round pick for Derrick Rose, but it's just the idea. I think they kind of had to. And to be fair, a first round pick for Derrick Rose was asking a bit much. Especially for the Knicks. If any other team that was in a position to be in the playoffs or maybe make a somewhat decent run at a finals, and they offered a first round pick for Derrick Rose, I would have said that was fine. But the Knicks still have a lot of growing to do and a lot of building to do. And I think if they offered a first round pick for Derrick Rose and Dennis Smith Jr., I think they kind of got the short end of that trade. Just because Dennis Smith Jr., I think, is a good player. I just think he doesn't get playing time. And it was pretty obvious, too, Dennis Smith Jr., I don't think wanted to be in New York. For whatever reason, the Knicks just had no... It seems like they had no intentions of actually using him. They kept signing point guards. They got, Elfrid Payton, and it's Dennis Smith Jr. is not a bad player. So, hopefully in Detroit, Dennis Smith Jr. actually gets some playing time. I don't know what the deal was there. But... I don't know, man. Derrick Rose is old at this point, man. I would say, I wouldn't say he's old, but he's definitely not, peak Derrick Rose anymore. He's 32 years old, and Derrick Rose is one of those players that I think has just kind of fallen off. He had a decent season last year, if I'm correct. He played 50 games last year, and only started for 15 of them. Yeah, he shot 49% from the field last year, 30% from three. His best season was arguably, post-injury, was probably 2018, 2019, where he shot 48% from the field, 37% from three, 85% from the free throw line, averaged 18 points a game, 4 assists, barely a steal, and, almost 3 rebounds a game. So, Derrick Rose's stats have been kind of steadily declining ever since then, and not for nothing, man, but Derrick Rose, it's very rare that he plays a full season. Like, the last time Derrick Rose actually played, I would say 60 games was 2016-2017, the last time he was on the Knicks. So it has been, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is his 6th season. So it's been 5 seasons since Derrick Rose has actually played 60 games. So I don't know. I think, like, I still think Derrick Rose has something to give, but was it worth all that they gave up? I don't know. And not for nothing, and this, a lot of people are going to take this the wrong way, but there's a reason why the Detroit Pistons had such a problem getting rid of Derrick Rose. Okay? It was obvious that what they were asking was too steep for Derrick Rose. And, like, I understand it's Derrick Rose and anything is possible. Like, he could, for all I know, Derrick Rose could, you know, get traded to the Knicks and become like the second best player on the team. The problem is Derrick Rose is extremely inconsistent when it comes to health. And the fact when you consider that he's 32 years old, and it was obvious that Detroit was trying to get draft assets or something younger and maybe better or similar to Derrick Rose, whatever, they were looking for younger and draft assets for Derrick Rose. And unfortunately, I feel like their asking price was too high. So whatever the Knicks gave was probably the best offer Detroit was getting for Derrick Rose. I don't think he's going to be the only player that gets traded. I feel like Blake Griffin is going to be traded as well. But I will say this. As somebody who lives in New York, people get to put their Derrick Rose jerseys back on if they bought them 6 years ago. But it's just the idea. I don't think Derrick Rose is even what he, like, I don't think he is now even what he was then. And even then, his contract was a bad contract. So, I don't know. I don't know what the purpose of this move was. I mean, yes, maybe it adds some veteran experience to a very young team. Maybe that's the reason they went out and got him. I can't really put my mind around this. Like, for me, I'm just kind of like, I don't really know why they went out and made such a, extravagant effort to get him. I understand Tom Thibodeau maybe wanted him, and that's why. Maybe he's expecting to get something out of Derrick Rose that nobody else can. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But it is a young team that is on the come up, and adding a veteran point guard like Derrick Rose is not a bad idea. So while I do think Derrick Rose is still less than what he was 2 or 3 years ago, and it's showing in the stat sheet, he can still give you 14, 15 points a game. So it is what it is. His health matters. And you know what? He at this point, it sucks because for me, as a basketball fan, I would have loved to see Derrick Rose get a ring. And I don't think he has one, if I'm correct. Yeah, he doesn't even have a chip. So I'm kind of like, I would have liked to see him go to maybe the Lakers or the Clippers or, you know, some team that was making a run that could have used him as a backup point guard. And unfortunately, goes to the Knicks, and who knows what the Knicks could be. But all I'm saying is, I guess it's a good trade for both sides if they agreed on it. I have to wait and see what happens here with Derrick Rose, but I don't know. I just feel like a first round pick is too much. Like, if they gave up Dennis Smith Jr. and a second rounder, okay, you know what? That's fine. That's fine for Derrick Rose. But if you're giving up a first round pick and it's like a lottery pick, or even, you know, if it's a lottery pick and you sent Dennis Smith Jr., you gave up too much, in my personal opinion. So tell me what you guys think down below in the comment section below. A like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more. This has been the Fast Break Report, and I'm out of here. Peace, guys.